Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Northampton School Committee for Thursday, June 13th, 2019. My name is Edward Zahowski, filling in for the Honorable David Narkowitz, who will be joining us later this evening. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
David Narkowitz, Ms. Molly Brennan. Present. Ms. Rebecca Busansky. Present. Ms. Laura Fallon. Present. Ms. Ann Hennessy is not here tonight. Mr. Lon Kaufman.
Here.
Mr. Don Meyer.
Here.
Mr. Howard Moore.
Here.
Ms. Susan Voss.
Present.
Mr. Ed Zahowski.
Present.
Mr. Vice Chair Kevin Moore.
Thank you. First on our agenda this evening, we would like to recognize our retirees.
Welcome, retirees. For some of you, welcome back. Some of you haven't been in our schools for a little while. It's good to have you back this evening. One of the things that I do every year prior to presenting the awards is to try to share some thoughts with the retirees. Initially, when I was just coming into the district, there were usually 50 little comments. They didn't know anybody. But now we've been here long enough that my thoughts have been getting more personal. So last year we had a poem. This year I've been thinking a lot about letters because this is about farewell, and farewell thoughts are often expressed in letters. And I've really been getting into war letters because with those you actually have two types of letters. You have the letter of I'm leaving home and then we'll fight the war and all the farewells involved with that. But then you also have that now the war is over and I have to say goodbye to all the friends that maybe go back home. So it's a very rich well of literature to draw from. One of the letters that I came across thinking about you was a really touching and moving letter from a woman to her husband who was going to top the war. And she talked about really despising her hands, not being able to get them out of her pockets, because when the hands come out, that initiates the embrace, and that's the beginning of the real goodbye. We're not going to go there. That's like a little bit too intimate for this. Another piece I got into were Walt Whitman's letters during the Civil War. Now, everybody knows that Walt Whitman worked as a nurse during the Civil War, but what I didn't know until preparing for tonight was that he wrote voluminous letters while working as a nurse. And they were really quite amazing because not only was he writing to the patients that he had to check on them, but he was also, in many cases, writing to the families of the patients to give them updates on their progress. And there's one that I felt sort of summarized. Some thoughts I wanted to share with the retirees tonight, so I'll just read that, and then I'll go right to the distributing of our great awards. So this was written to an unnamed soldier, not exactly sure who it was. It was about April 1865. We're not exactly sure the right date because it was handwritten at Camp Park kind of smudged. But it says, I must let you know that your notion that I may have forgotten you is not regular by a long shot. I do not forget anyone so easily, where a friendship has been formed as ours was under these circumstances. You must write me whenever you feel like it. Tell me about all the things and the people down there in Kentucky. God bless you, and for the present, farewell. So, with that, we will go through our retirees, who tonight will be receiving our traditional silver plate awards. And as usual, we'll start in reverse order of service to the district. So first, with 4 years of service to the district, Candy Walzak. Also, with 4 years of service to the district, Elaine Mount. Next, with 10 years of service, art teacher Cheryl Jaffe. Next, we have ESP with 15 years of service, Laureen Adams. And the Jackson Street Library ESP with 17 years of service, Pat Russell. Ryan Road ESP with 19 years of service, Valerie Tompkins. Bridge Street special education teacher, 20 years of service, Leslie Stein. Ryan Road third grade teacher, also with 20 years of service, Cindy Berry. And Jackson Street Title I teacher, 22 years of service, Mary Cowie. JFK ESP, 24 years of service, Joanne Listowski. JFK grade 8 teacher, 27 years of service, Julie Spencer Robinson. NHS Latin teacher, a person who also brings you the looking back every morning in the newspaper, 28 years of service, Jim Bridgman. NHS custodian, 32 years of service, Chet Browski. NHS head cook with 34 years of service, someone who's fed me many times, Barbara Frakaska. And our most senior retiree we'll be honoring tonight, Jackson Street ELL teacher with 34 years of service, Kathy Malinowski. Congratulations, retirees.
Now we're coming to the public comment period. I have some names signed up. I'll just remind the public once again, when you come to the microphone, if you would state your name and address for the record, and also if you could hold your comments to around 3 minutes so that everybody has an opportunity to speak. First on our list is Karen Hidalgo.
Good evening. My name is Karen Hidalgo. I live at 133 Barrett Street in Northampton. I have 2 children who attend the Jackson Street School in grades 3 and 5, and I'm a school counselor, also known as guidance counselor, at Northampton High School. I know that you all believe in the importance of public education. That is why you are here. I will talk to you for a minute about how public education became important to me, and then I will tell you how I see the current situation and what I want you to do about it. When I was 16 years old, I moved into a foster home. I lived there until I went to college. Suddenly, no one adult was responsible for me. My foster parents sort of were, but not really. My social workers sort of were, but not really. When it came down to it, I was completely reliant on the state and its institutions for my food, clothes, medical care, and well-being. I attended public school during this time, as I always had. All this reliance on public institutions made me think deeply about their role in our society and how, for democracy to really function well, we have to take care of each other. This, in part, led to my profession and to my advocacy for education. At this point in history in this country, public education is under assault. I understand the city budget enough to understand that the state funding is inadequate and that Northampton in some ways is more impacted than some other communities. I understand the issues with the methodology of charter school funding. I can assure you that I'm a passionate advocate for fixing this problem. No one follows my Facebook posts anymore except for my parents because everyone is tired of hearing about charter school funding. Even my parents are tired of it. My mother wants more pictures of the grandchildren and less on charter schools. I have learned that I can clear a room by bringing it up how, with our state's charter school funding methodology, I am being taxed without representation. I elect my school committee representatives who have no oversight over these privately managed charter schools, so I get it. There's a lot of work for us to do together about the broader funding issues. However, right now, the city of Northampton has the opportunity to right a wrong. While the city's resources are not unlimited, the city is in good fiscal health and does many amazing and wonderful things with my tax dollars. I'm pretty much in favor of all of them, but I say pay our school staff fairly first. As you know, we have school employees earning less than minimum wage. We have a discrepancy between the pay scales of city-side clerical and custodial compared with school-side, and many of our Unit A staff have seen their paychecks go down every year for the last 10 years. This isn't fair, it's bad for morale, and it contributes to staff turnover that hurts our city's children. What happened last night is unacceptable. I've asked the mayor to request an increase in the budget to meet NACE's last proposal. I've asked the city council to please approve the increased budget. School committee, I'm asking you to make us a fair offer of wages that is not tied to contract language that is disrespectful to us and our work.
Next up is Kate Dollard.
My name is Kate Dollard. I live at 48 River Road in Leeds, and I also teach at the high school. I'm lucky to be able to live in Northampton because a lot of our school staff can't afford to live in Northampton. And I won't be able to retire in Northampton because my retirement income will not be enough to support my living expenses. And I know others school staff who may be in this position as well, and they are starting to look for work elsewhere. When we start to lose our skilled staff, our students are going to suffer. When they have less skilled staff, it's the students who need a little extra attention who aren't going to be able to get it from a teacher who's more focused on delivering their content. Students who have social emotional learning issues, the average student who needs an extra boost, a student who doesn't speak English as their first language, these are the students who are going to suffer the most. And we are struggling with that already in our classes. So I please encourage you to come to the table with good faith and help support our staff so we don't lose them. Thank you.
Next is Michelle Bernhardt.
Evening. It's the end of the school year, and we're still standing. Last night was obnoxious, and I wasn't even there. And I'm standing for a lot of the people who are not here in this room because they need a night off, but we're all in this together. This is my 20th year at Northampton High School. Yeah, I did have 2 babies during that time, but I count it as 20. And I've been teaching since I was 25, I'm 52. I came to Northampton High School during the renovation. Some of you will remember that. It was a glorious time at Northampton High School where we were in upheaval and we just had to work together, and it was fun and we knew everyone. Things are different now. We don't have the time we need to collaborate. We don't have the support to sort of have an organic system going on. We're told we have to spend a lot of time in front of the computers, filling in boxes, and we do that. Before I came to Northampton High School, I worked at Putnam Voc in Springfield for 2 years. I worked at Central High School for 3 years. And I have a rising 10th grader and a rising 8th grader who've gone through the Northampton Public Schools, Jackson Street School and JFK. And someday I do hope to retire from Northampton High School. Our schools are amazing. We can all agree on that. We can all agree on a lot of things. Here's the thing. Laura, Molly, Ed, David, if he were here, and a lot of other people in the city. We have taught your children. We have taught your children really well. Your kids are going to go off to great schools. Your kids are wandering around our buildings doing glorious things. The problem is we're feeling demoralized. The faculty, the staff, everyone in our buildings are feeling demoralized. And we're strong. We get battled by the kids all day long for years. We are not going anywhere. We are not going to sign anything that is not respectful. And here's the thing. We've been told by school committee members that we're all in this together, that you understand. But that does not pay the bills. And that does not attract new, qualified, amazing teachers to replace us. That does not attract people of color and people who speak different languages that are so underrepresented in this district on our faculty and staff. We are demoralized by being told that our sick day buyback is the only incentive you have to keep us from not taking days off during the school year. Do you think we work for our sick days when we retire? We don't. I'm going to take a few more minutes since you guys took what I heard was 6 hours last night.
I guess I would just ask you to make sure that there's enough time for others to speak as well.
Oh, we've got plenty of time.
And just the respect that we do have 3 minutes per person to speak
Yeah, how
for
many
that
people
reason.
are on your list?
I have some more on the list.
Okay. I'll keep track of the time. It's 7:08.
I
Got
don't
it.
need to keep track of the time. I'm just asking you to be respectful to the 3 minutes.
Thanks, Ed. I will be respectful. Haggling for $15 an hour for our hourly wage workers, and then when we turn to the teacher and ESP salaries and being told there isn't enough money, as if we're going to turn on our colleagues and say, oh, you're right, there's not enough money. We'll sign this contract. That's not going to happen. All of these people in the building make the schools great. Our buildings are great, but it's the people in it who make our schools great. We are being told that we can go to other schools to teach with higher wages. Well, people are doing that. I believe we're losing 2 people at the high school last count today. We're training great new teachers coming out of UMass grad school, but they can't afford to stay here, so they leave. And then we start with a whole new batch. They're veteran teachers who are leaving because they can't retire on the pension that they're going to get from their highest salary here. Our salaries have not budged for over 10 years, if you're a step 11 or above. The real tragedy is that we can't attract new people that will help us grow. And when I get angry, and when I feel disappointment over this whole process that's been going on, and believe you me, we have all been feeling that, I tell myself what I teach my students. I say, take a breath. Don't take it personally. There must be a reason why the mayor and the superintendent and the school committee are not meeting our needs. There must be a reason. And I believe you do want to meet our needs, but I think you're scared. I think there's fear that there's not enough money in the budget, in the city budget. Here's the thing. The Northampton Public School employees have been closing that gap for you for years. You have not been funding us properly, and that is how you have balanced the city budget. We actually have some extra cash in the budget, and people in the community are actually woke to the fact that charter schools maybe aren't such a great idea, or the funding formula for for charter schools is not such a great idea. And we will help you. We are already protesting and standing out for Fund Our Schools. We will be there in that fight. But don't wait. Don't wait to fund the schools. We will be with you for the rest of the fight. Thank you.
Next is Noah Cassis.
Hi, I'm Noah Cassis. I'm here to talk about an item that's going to be on the agenda later tonight. That's already that's on the agenda. And I'm here as a member of the student union. I'm a rising 11th grader now, and here to talk about a project that the student union has been working on all year, which has been looking into Go Guardian and internet privacy at our high school. So starting at the beginning of the year, we look into different issues that we find that the student body is interested in and is concerned about. And one of these was the internet privacy, because there was a lot of confusion and a lot of concern, but mainly just because people didn't know what was going on about Go Guardian and about what data is being seen and what's being done with our data when we log onto a Chromebook or use a computer in school, which, I do in every single class a lot, half the days of the week at least. So I kind of took this project on personally, and I did lots of research, and I've talked extensively with the IT department, Antonio Pagan and Molly McLaughlin. I've worked, with my peers and with Mr. Lombardi. I've met with him and with Dr. Provost. And one thing that the thing that we've come to is that there's really just a larger need for clarity around what the procedure is and around what's being done with data, what's being done with our search logs and with our emails and with our documents on Google Drive. Because now that I've spent the better part of a year looking into this, I understand it, and I have a sense for what this procedure is and for how it's being used. And I feel confident now that I know that I feel confident that my data is being looked at in the appropriate ways, and I feel confident that there's an appropriate procedure in place, but I just don't feel confident that there's clarity for the rest of the student body. So a solution that I've come to and that the student union has come to, working with Dr. Provost, has been a proposed revision to the acceptable use policy of the district. It's just one sentence, actually. It's added in the fifth paragraph of the acceptable use policy, and the language, which we've worked with Dr. Provost to develop, is So the current paragraph reads, our schools have software and systems in place that monitor and record all internet usage. The district will intermittently monitor internet network traffic and other usage of electronic resources, for instance, by tracking destination URLs of individual users. Users should have no expectation of privacy when browsing the web, sending or receiving email, or using other electronic school resources. The district does provide email accounts for the purpose of school-related communication. That's the current paragraph. And the suggested change is after the first sentence. And it includes the sentence, the district will make any and all procedures governing the use of these softwares and systems public in clear, accessible format in the handbook, on the district website, and in beginning of year documents sent to student families. So that's what we've developed, and I really think this is just, it's such a simple thing that we can, when we have these, when I look in the handbook, when you look at the acceptable use policy now, it doesn't have anything mentioning Go Guardian, which makes sense because we don't want to, you guys don't want to have to revise it every time you buy a new software. But adding language like this, which will make sure that there is publicity, that this is publicized and clear to all students and members of the community, that they know that they can be confident that their data is as private as it can be, and that that everything is good with their internet usage. I think this will really increase confidence. I think it's a simple step that that our school district can take to make students and community members feel more comfortable, and I hope you'll vote to refer it to the Policy and Rules Committee. Thank you.
Next up is Stephen Eldridge.
Good evening. I'm Stephen Eldridge. I live at 20 Nonotuck Street in Florence. I teach theater and film at Northampton High School. To a teacher, every experience is a learning experience. In particular, as we learn, especially in the theater, we learn from adversity. We learn a great deal from adversity. We get a chance to reflect, and if we are together, share our collective experiences about adversity that we experience and find a way to move forward. And so I'd like to briefly share what I've been learning most recently from this experience we're all having the last few weeks. One, it is much nicer outside than it is inside the building. In order to achieve the high standards that I set for my program, for the past 14 years, I have been habitually in the Northampton High School building from 7:30 in the morning until at least 5 o'clock at night every day, often until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So getting the chance to be outside after 2 p.m. has been a kind of a revelation. It's changed my perspective on how I spend my time. I have learned that NHS teachers are amazing. I've gotten to know my colleagues much better in the last few weeks, standing out in front of our building twice a day, than I have ever had a chance while toiling away inside the building. I have had opportunities to have all kinds of conversations with other teachers on all kinds of subjects. I've begun collaborations with other art teachers. I've looked at cross-disciplinary issues with teachers from other departments. So we've had a chance to really enrich our experiences and our relationship with each other as teachers through this process. And normally, I know that those other teachers, like me, would be in the building toiling away to satisfy their own high standards for education, to get the outcomes that they know they can best get from their students because that's what they care about most. The other thing I've been really thinking is how, as a group, we've been having to take this situation and learn from it day by day. I've been here 14 years. I've never been on anything like this before, and I understand it hasn't been done for a long time before that. So we've been learning day by day how to conduct ourselves to do work to rule. And what I'm discovering is we're getting better at it every day. We are brainstorming together. We're having these wonderful meetings in a circle under a tree where we vote on things like whether or not we should be at the graduation and how we should conduct ourselves. And what we're discovering is more and more common ground every day. As we compare and have conversations and discuss our ideas, we're getting to more accord, more agreement about how we should be going forward. We love and understand each other. Our resolve is strengthening. We've discovered shared values and goals. And we are an incredibly creative and intelligent group of people. We are very well educated. We are resourceful. We are good, particularly at developing our ideas into coherent plans and goals. So I believe there's only one direction this process is going to be going for us. The longer we are out, the stronger we will be. Please think carefully about how you will deal with that situation. Thank you very much.
Next up, Maria Garcia.
My name is Maria Garcia. I live at 345 Spring Street, and I have been teaching at Jackson Street School for 22 years. Thank you for your time.
Next up is Andrea Jido.
My name is Andrea Jido. I'm a chapter coordinator for the Northampton Association of School Employees. We weren't speaking because you're not listening. And next, we're walking out.
Those are all the people that signed up for public comment. Is there anyone else left here that wishes to speak? Hearing none, we'll move on to announcements. Ms. Fallon.
So I think a lot of people already are aware of this, but today, parents from, my first group of parents from Chelsea, Chickadee, Fall River, Haverhill, Lowell, Orange, and Springfield have filed a lawsuit on behalf of students in underfunded public schools in Massachusetts. The lawsuit alleges constitutional violations of students' education and civil rights as a result of the state's inadequate school funding system. The lawsuit names 4 state officials as defendants: James Pizer, Secretary of Education; Jeffrey Riley, Commissioner of Education; Patrick Freeman, Chair of the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education; and Michael Heffernan, Secretary of Administration and Finance. The nonprofit Council for Fair School Finance is a group composed of the Massachusetts Association of School Committee members, the MTA, AFT, Boston Teachers Union, Citizens for Public Schools, Lawyers for Civil Rights, the New England Area Conference of the NAACP, and they were part of the group that filed the lawsuit today. As a representative of the MASC, I was invited to the State House for the press conference that was held, where Juan Cofield, president of the NAACP, opened it saying that he was announcing the filing of the lawsuit to bring about the fair and equitable funding of public schools in Massachusetts, consistent with the state's constitution and the Equal Protection Act. Devin Sheehan, who's the president of the MASC, and a leader from the Chelsea Collaborative, the superintendent from Fall River, and former Secretary of Education, Matthew Malone, spoke, as well as a new school committee member from Orange, and a parent who is the plaintiff in the case, Danielle Anderson. Since we have time, so you guys, this is so compelling. It was really a moving press conference, and I actually took notes on what the executive director of the Lawyers for Civil Rights, Iván Espinosa Madrigal, said. He said in his comments, "Make no mistake, today's lawsuit is challenging the 21st century version of separate and unequal. Today, far too many low-income children and children of color attend essentially segregated schools with fewer teachers, resources, classes, and opportunities than their wealthy and predominantly white peers. Today, we are asking the Supreme Judicial Court to recognize what we here already know, that education is a fundamental right. We're asking the Supreme Judicial Court to recognize that our state legislature has not charged public education as our Constitution requires. Instead, the legislature has been indifferent, unresponsive, and willfully blind to the growing disparities in our communities and across our state. This lawsuit asks the court to declare that children in communities like Chelsea and Fall River are entitled to the same quality of education as children in communities like Weston and Wellesley. That your education opportunities should not be based on your zip code, your household income, your country of origin, or the language you speak at home. Our educators shouldn't have to plead online to fundraise for paper and pencils. Our children's resources should come from the State House, not GoFundMe. Our children shouldn't go to school in dilapidated and collapsing buildings, contaminated with lead, or without heat or air conditioning. Education is a civil right, and we are proudly standing with all of our courageous children and families who are here today to protect it." And there were many other speeches just like that were so moving about the terrible state of inequality that exists in Massachusetts, the education that students are receiving in one zip code versus another, and how this really does affect suburban schools, rural schools, urban districts. There was a school committee member from Orange talking about how last night their school committee had to vote on the budget. They had the choice to either cut 4 teaching positions or to cut all of their specials, art, music, and physical education. And at the urging of the teachers, they chose to eliminate those 4 positions. However, there's an override on the ballot, and if that override doesn't pass, they'll also be cutting all the specials as well. And so when districts that are as close to us as that are going through that kind of trouble, and we've got teachers sitting here, work to roll, I think that it's time, and it was past time, that this lawsuit was filed. And I hope that the legislature takes it seriously. I know this is a really serious move, and it's going to be time consuming and expensive. But I think that the legislature still has time to do the right thing as far as education funding is concerned. The other thing I wanted to announce is that, as I announced at our last meeting, the Pioneer Valley Chinese Immersion Charter School was appealing the commissioner's decision for their expansion request. And that appeal will be heard at the June 25th Board of Education meeting. Unfortunately, the Malden office is under renovations, and so the meeting's going to be held in Revere, which is over 2 hours travel time from us here. It will be held on June 25th at the Rumney Marsh Academy. The time still has not been announced, but it's typically morning, any point between 8:30 or 10:30. And we need to get in a request. There's a group of us trying to organize a panel of speakers. You can't just show up and speak in public comment. You have to be on a pre-approved list. If any of you on the school committee or anyone here is willing to serve on that group of speakers that we're going to try and get pre-approved, please contact me as soon as possible. We'd like to get the names in by tomorrow, but Monday at the latest. I think it's really important. I know a lot of you have written letters, but that we have someone there in person to speak up on behalf of our district and the surrounding districts. So that's it.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Mr. Moore?
This is actually a related announcement. The NEF Showcase is tomorrow evening. It's at 5 to 6:30 at 33 Holly Street, the Arts Trust building. The showcase is a showcase of a variety of really important projects that have been funded, privately funded from the NEF donations, funding our teachers who are doing extra work to produce real benefits for our students. And the showcase is an opportunity for people to come and see demonstrations of the things that are produced through that collaboration. And again, the necessity of private funding for some of these projects, when you see the projects and you think, wow, that would be great if that could be in the budget, and it would be. So we're really tremendously grateful. I think as a school committee, I can speak probably for everybody, we're really grateful for NEF and for our teachers for undertaking these projects because they're very valuable for our students. So hopefully anybody who's interested in seeing what those things are can get to the showcase and then hopefully help to support both the school budget and NEF budget, because together that has been a valuable part of our students' education for the last 25 years.
Thank you. Ms. Brzezinski.
I just want to announce that I will not be running for re-election this fall, and I'm sure I will continue to be involved with our community in some ways. I believe strongly in the importance of civic engagement and our public schools in particular. But in the meantime, anyone who's interested in running for school committee in Ward 1 should feel free to get in touch with me, because I'd be happy to talk to them about the position further. Thanks.
Any other announcements? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to recommended actions. We have approval of minutes, school committee meeting May 9th, 2019. We have a field trip request, Leeds Elementary Nature's Classroom to Beckett, Mass. For October 15th through the 18th of 2019.
Well, I don't know if I need to pull from the consent agenda, but the actual field trip documents that we got are for Jackson Street. And so I don't know if we need to amend.
I'm sorry.
The documents we got are for Jackson Street. Nature's Classroom. So I don't know if we need to pull that or if we can just amend it before we.
Make it amended to be Jackson Street's field trip?
I think I would defer to the vice chair on whether that would qualify as a Scrivener's error.
I believe so.
I have a question, I guess. Would it matter in any practical way to put it off for a month? Is it time dependent? And the reason I say that is earlier this year, there was a lot of discussion about Nature's Classroom, and I think the different schools have different groups involved in different discussions, and if there's no reason to pass it this month as opposed to next month, I would feel more comfortable advertising or listing what it is.
I don't think there's any functional difference to waiting another month.
So we can go ahead and remove that from the consent agenda, and we'll just go back to the original approval of the minutes for the school committee meeting of May 9, 2019.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you for catching that. On to reports and recommendations. Our student representative, I believe I saw him cross the aisle a couple weeks ago, so congratulations to Michael. We'll be looking for a new student representative to be joining us. And in the meantime, we have a series of votes here for acceptance of some things. The first one here is an NEF small grants, and Daniel Ramda.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Dale Melcher is the chair of the Small Grants Committee for NEF. She was not able to be here, so I will present her good work on her behalf. And before I begin, Dale wanted me to thank Howard, Laura, J. Ho Chung, and Tadia Martin Gonzalez for their service on the committee. So thank you. The Board of Northampton Education Foundation accepted the Small Grants Committee recommendations and approved funding for 8 grants totaling $20,330. The first grant is Deepening Our Mindfulness Community for $2,000, and that was for Bridge Street. And Sarah Coblin will continue to work with students and teachers to help students deepen their mindfulness practice to help them find calm, focus, and manage their social and emotional experiences. They'll integrate a new curriculum, provide training and tools for teachers, and develop opportunities for students to teach mindfulness techniques to others. Funds would cover consultants and materials. The second grant is for sensory paths and activities, $1,026, and that's also for Bridge Street. This project will expand the social emotional curriculum for pre-K through 5th grade students with a focus on tools that foster sensory self-regulation. Sensory-based activities that fit the wide range of needs of all students, and in particular those with special needs, will be purchased and installed. The third grant is for Thoreau for Young Children for $1,164, and that will be for Leeds Elementary School. This project teaches 2nd grade students about life and philosophy of Henry David Thoreau and gives them experience cultivating mindful practices by spending quiet time outdoors in the Mill River area. Children will engage in focused activities which require using their senses while they build observational and self-regulation skills. The fourth grant, Lego Robotics and Programming for $3,000 for all elementary schools. This one is my favorite. First Lego League Junior is a non-competitive hands-on STEM program geared toward children 6 through 10 years of age. Grantees piloted the first Lego League Junior after-school robotics program with 3 teams. Grantees will now expand the program to 12 teams for grades 1 through 4, and that's 3 teams at each school. They will also offer a pilot 5th grade program that will teach students the fundamentals of programming the more complex Lego Mindstorm robotic kit. Funds would cover all these materials. The 5th grant is Advancing STEAM, Coding Drones for $2,500 for GFK. In response to the coding capabilities of incoming elementary school students, grantees will redesign the coding class at JFK from a simple program to a full hands-on STEAM education based on the Telo-Edu programmable drone. Funds would cover staff time and materials. The 6th grant is Jazz Ensemble for $2,740 for the high school. This project will continue the funding of the NHS Jazz Band and help it to transition to a stipend-funded activity. Funds would support staff time and materials. The seventh grant would be Finding Our Voice for $4,500, and that would be for Bridge Street, Jackson Street, JFK, and the high school. NHS Students Against Sexual Harassment will conduct 2 10-week after-school programs in the fall at Jackson Street and Bridge Street, and 2 10-week after-school programs in the spring for Bridge Street and JFK Middle School on understanding sexual harassment and exploring ways for students to find their voice and stand up to sexual harassment. In year 2, the program will expand to Bridge Street School and develop a middle school version of the curriculum for JFK students. Funds would cover consultants, staff, and supplies. And the last grant, the 8th one, is called Real Racial Equity and Learning Northampton for $3,400, and that would be for K through 12. And the overall mission of the Northampton Public School Anti-Racism Affinity Group is to support the school community through ongoing development and implementation of intentionally anti-racist culture and practices. In year 2, the group will continue to expand their community and school base, deepen connections with schools, collect stories and writing through interviews, and create an exhibition to share their conversations. Training core members of REAL to co-facilitate conversations about race and racism will continue, and funds would cover consultants, transcription, and supplies. So that's the overview of the 8 grants, and on behalf of the Northampton Education Foundation, I would like to offer these grants as a gift to the schools, and I ask that you please accept them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
Yes, I'd like to move that we accept the grant. What is it, $20,000? $20,330?
Yes.
For small grant programs.
Any questions? Okay, then all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if you just stay with us here for the NEF Endowment Fund Awards,
Yes.
that'd be great.
Well, thank you. Stan Shapiro and I chair the NEF Endowment Committee, and the theme for our grant making this year was Bridging the Divide, Building an Inclusive Future. And the Northampton Education Foundation approved our recommendations to support 4 programs this grant cycle. 2 would address food insecurity, 1 would bridge areas of the high school curriculum, and the final one would integrate local history and social justice into the elementary school's curriculum. The total funding would be $50,075 for the first year. I believe you all have copies of the overview, but I would like to just provide a little bit more detail for the record. So the title of the first grant is Breakfast After the Bell, and that's a program to be launched at Bridge Street and Ryan Road Elementary Schools. Breakfast After the Bell would bring breakfast into the classrooms. Children would eat breakfast together, giving students a chance to share a meal while teachers integrate the lessons of the morning during their group time. These programs are proven to provide all students with a nutritious start to their day while eliminating socioeconomic stigmas. Launching the program requires upfront investment in key equipment such as mobile food storage containers, but once started, Ms. Delhanna, who is the food service director, believes it will be self-sustaining over the next 3 years. NEF approved $15,600 for this project. The second grant will go to support Grow Food Kids. Grow Food Kids helps students develop positive relationships with food by teaching nutrition, basic cooking skills, and food sustainability. They offer hands-on experiences to students at each of the 4 elementary schools in the classrooms and on field trips to various farms. In addition, they make local food convenient and affordable to low-income families. Funding would sustain their current programming and allow them to identify gaps in nutrition offerings at the middle and high schools. NEF approved $15,000 for their work. The title of the third grant is Live STEAM, a project that will create a music, technology, and sound recording course at the high school. STEAM is the acronym used to emphasize the integration of the arts in the STEM fields. The overall goal of the course is to help high school performing arts students master advanced technologies. Paul Kinsman, who leads band, and Stephen Eldridge, who oversees theater, they will use the funding to add recording capabilities to the 3 practice rooms in the band room. They will also transform the music theory room into an editing suite so that students can produce compositions they created and recorded. In addition, they will train high school students to become sound engineers, lighting designers, and stage managers for live performances. Funding for year one, this is a multi-year grant. Funding for year one would cover the essential equipment for the recording studios and editing rooms. Funding would also cover the costs for fall workshops to train students. NEF approved $17,450 for year one, $8,400 for year two, and $4,500 for year three. And the final grant is titled Sojourner Truth in the 21st Century. Members of the Sojourner Truth Memorial Committee work with fifth grade teachers from all the elementary schools to develop a social studies curriculum based on the life of Sojourner Truth, especially during her time here in Northampton. Last year, NEF awarded $8,160 to develop the curriculum. This year, NEF approved $2,025 to embed the lesson plans, about 8 to 10 of them, into a website for teachers and students to update annually. So that's that overview, and on behalf of the NEF, I would like to offer these grants as a gift to the schools, and I ask that you please accept them.
I would like to move that you accept this gift of $50,075 from the NEF Endowment Fund for the support of these programs.
Is there a second? Any comments or questions?
You know, just so you know, there's an enormous amount of effort goes into both people's applications for these grants on the part of the teachers and staff and community members who are oftentimes participants in proposals. And then the NEF does a tremendous amount of work in both improving the grant proposals and also having to decide which ones will not get funding because the NEF does not have enough money to pay for all of the worthy proposals that do come forward. And so I really want to encourage community members to support either the endowment fund drive, which is going on, or the annual funds, which the NEF solicits every year to support the small grants.
Mr. Meyer, then
just as a teacher who has benefited in my district from the Mary Lyon Foundation's grants, I'm blown away by the generosity of NEF, and in 10 years on the school committee, it just keeps happening. And you know, the contributions that the teachers make in producing these grant ideas and then developing them is fantastic, but without the community providing these funds in NEF, doing all the work that you do, the schools would be a poorer place.
I really want to emphasize it's a community effort. We have students, community members, and NEF, and it's been a pleasure to serve on this committee. And thank you for all the good teachers submitting great proposals for us to fund.
So I thank you, Downey. I share Downey's feelings on this 100%. I just want to thank you so much. These are all such special projects. They read tremendously well. And what I definitely noticed some of these because I've been attending what Councilor Moore talked about, which is the NEF Showcase, which I'll do again tomorrow night. Thank you for the reminder. And it's just great to see how some of them evolve and to actually see them hands-on. And sometimes there's videos or student work, and all the enrichment and expanded learning opportunities are incredibly well appreciated. So thank you, and please thank all of your colleagues on our behalf as well.
I will do that. Thank you.
Okay.
any other comments? We have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have a vote. Smith College computer donation in the amount of $16,000.
Thank you. This is a donation of 25 used Dells and 35 used iMacs. The approximate value on the Dells is $100 a piece. The approximate value on the iMacs is $300 to $500 a piece. These are coming from Smith College and would go into Jeremy's Whalen's classroom, as he has done through the last several cycles of updating the technology in his classroom. It's been with donated computers for Smith College. They've always been put to very good use, and I would ask the school committee to please accept these.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions, the superintendent? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Here we have another vote. This vote is for a refund of previously approved Janie Fund gift. Janie, thank you. Janie Fund gift. Thank you. Mr. Lombardi. Yes, sorry. Yeah.
Let me explain about it, I take it? Oh, okay. So I think about 5 years ago, this fund from this organization from Boston, led by Deb Denhart, provided, I think, a $5,000 fund that was meant for our alternative learning program to be accessible for the teachers of that program for miscellaneous things that would pop up to help with the students in the programming. Since then, we've made some changes in the ALT program looking at different models to support our students. And at the same time, that fund hasn't been used, I think, with the vision that that it started with. At the same time, we've been in discussions at the school council level, talking about that there is a need within the high school, as or any school, when you have certain populations of students, you have some immediate needs that just don't fit into the boxes of how funding or resources work within a school. We work on timelines and paperwork and then going through cycles and approval. And sometimes when you have a student that needs hygiene products or they need something in the moment, how does someone access that? And so Deb Denhart and members who've put that fund forward are asking for that to be returned. And what she would like to do is see that money go into an account run by the PTO. The school council is creating this thing called an opportunity fund, and it will be staffed, it will be managed through the banks by the PTO. And at the high school level, there'll be a team of administrators, teachers, and a social worker that will be able to hear, kind of vet what are the needs when someone comes forward for an immediate task, immediate need, and be able to access that money in a much more quicker turnaround for either reimbursement or immediate need on the spot. For example, I had a teacher recently who put forward $270 in gym memberships for students that we would say are high-need students. And just getting the turnaround for the reimbursement will be a faster process in this manner. And again, the person that is bringing this forward, Deb Denhart, who initiated the original donation, is 100% for this, and she is part of the contingent of the school council working on this opportunity fund to PTO.
Other questions to Mr. Lombardi?
So, I'm sorry, just so I understand, so this is currently being held in its own account, and essentially that account would be closed out then?
Yeah, and I think it started at 5,000. It might be now 3,500, 3,200, about that. So there has been some that's been used for, and they would just take the rest, close that out, and it would go to this account.
Other questions? Ms. Brzezinski.
The new account would be for 5,000, or it would just be that?
It would just be just that money. Yep, exactly. But the hope would be down the road, so we're trying to keep that fund going in a different way. But it would not be coming from school budget or anything like that at all.
Someone make a motion for the refund?
Move to refund the previously approved Janie Fund gift.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Lombardi.
Yeah. I think I'm on the next one too. So,
Stay put.
I'd read the
Here we go.
agendas. Yeah.
We've got another vote. This one, Stop and Shop donation in the amount of $4,210 for field trip busing. Mr. Lombardi.
So a few years ago, we started Stop and Shop started this program, and pretty much what it is, parents sign up, and we get yearly money from Stop and Shop based on families doing shopping there, and we get a certain percentage on their food shopping. And every year we've been getting a check, and we would like to use this money to help fund some of our field trips. I think one of the ones we'll field would be the High Meadows trip we've done in the past. And it's just a great resource for us to help with those type of activities that we find are getting more and more expensive.
Any questions? Lombardi. Is there a motion for the?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Could I just take advantage of to
Sure.
say thank you, Mr. Lombardi, and to say congratulations, Mr. Lombardi, and to wish you luck.
So, can I take a moment? I would, thank you, Howard. I need to say I wasn't expecting that, and I just want to say thank you all to school committee and thank you to the community of Northampton. It's been a remarkable 12 years for me, and it's probably some of the best 12 years of my life. And I just leave in I'm very humbled to be leaving with the power of the relationships I've had, and I feel that there's been a lot of good work done based on one simple thing, which has been the relationships. And I thank you all for your service. I thank you for the trust you've had in me to be a leader. And I thank just everybody for this being a remarkable place. Amazing things happen here. It really breaks my heart to see where things are right now, and I feel bad for so many people because I know that on all sides the intentions are meaningful and purposeful. And I really hope for the best outcome because I know from the bottom of my heart that Northampton is a special place where special things happen in the buildings every single day. And I just want to appreciate everyone's efforts in this room as well as the wonderful teachers and professionals in this district. Do amazing stuff here. And as a principal and as a parent that has my kids go through here, I can't tell you how blessed I am for that experience. So thank you all very much.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have a vote. It's a donation from Ronald and Mary Grimm in the amount of $20,000 for cafeteria debt. Mr. Provost.
Following up on Mr. Lombardi's comments about Northampton being a very special place, I was approached by Ronald and Mary Grimm late last week with a request to make a $20,000 donation to specifically go to the bad debt for students who do not qualify for free and reduced lunch. This amount is enough to essentially wipe out that debt. We still would have a small amount of bad debt for students who do qualify for free and reduced lunch, who had the debt before they became eligible. But this is a tremendous benefit to our program. It addresses a vexing issue that we've been discussing for years, and it was amazing to have this this generous couple come forward and say, can we do something to help with the bad debt? So I would ask the school committee to please accept this.
Move to approve donation for Ronald and Mary Grimm for $20,000 for cafeteria debt.
Is there a motion to accept the donation? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any comments?
Again, the community's generosity is constant and stunning.
Well said, Mr. Meyer. I agree. All those in favor of accepting the donation, Ronald and Mary Grimm, in the amount of $20,000 for the cafeteria debt, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Next, we have another vote to award a bid for bus purchase. I believe this is coming from capital funds. Dr. Provost.
It is actually a combination of the school department transportation revolving account and capital funds. It's a split between those two accounts. In the plan we had for bus replacement, we had budgeted $110,000 on anticipation of having $55,000 available in the revolving account and $55,000 available through capital funds. We issued a bid and had one bidder. The bidder came in at $92,590 with an additional cost of $787 for an alternate item. that included 4 integrated child seats for a total purchase price of $93,377. So this is the one bid. The bid was consistent with our expectations in budgeting, and it is Cammie's recommendation as well as mine that we award this bid.
Is there a motion to award the bid for the bus purchase?
So moved.
A second? Any discussion or questions? Ms. Voss?
Yeah, I'm curious, what is how long have we been expecting to need this bus? Do we have a bus break, or are we adding a bus to our fleet? How did the need for this come about?
The bus replacement schedule is included in the capital budget. We basically have a plan that relies on some capital funds and some of the transportation revolving accounts, and it's an ongoing process of replacing the oldest vehicles as they get to the end of their service life. So this is something that has been in planning stages for several years.
Thank you. And knowing very little about this, it would help me understand this in terms of, sometimes some people buy a new car every 3 years, some people buy a car every 20 years. How do we fit into that as a district, or are there laws that say how often you have to have a bus? How bad is the bus that we're replacing?
I'm not certain if there are any regulations about the replacement of buses. I know that we have a system that's based on the mileage of the buses and the wear and tear on the buses. I can't say that I'm an expert in knowing, when it is time to replace buses, but I can say this is consistent with the replacement schedule that we had put in place when we originally bought the buses. So this wasn't a result of any kind of catastrophic failure or real significant mechanical need. It was just replacing our oldest bus.
Any other questions?
I guess I have one more, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Are we selling the bus we're replacing, and does that money go back into the school committee account?
Typically, what we do is use the bus that we've just retired as one of our sub buses, and then get rid of one of our substitute buses. Those are usually auctioned off. They don't, at that point, they're very old because they've had a life as a bus and then life as a substitute bus. They usually only go for a couple $100.
Thanks.
Was there any of those buses at the retirement party we had today?
They may end up at the three-county fair demolition derby.
Yes.
The school bus demolition derby.
So we have the motion made and seconded to award the bus, the bid for the bus purchase. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, moving on. We'll move on to Rules and Policy Subcommittee. We have a second reading and vote, and I will turn that over to Ms. Fallon.
Thank you. So we have a second reading and vote on policy GBEBG. It's online fundraising and solicitations for crowdfunding. This is a new policy. It was recommended that we adopt by the MASC in February 2018 based upon an ethics commission advisory opinion that was released. And so this is a new policy that you have the opportunity to see. And I think it addresses all of the concerns raised by both the Ethics Commission Advisory and Dr. Provost and also the subcommittee when we're done. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions or if there's a motion to approve the policy.
I'll make a motion to approve the policy. Second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, very good.
Next up, we have a second reading and vote. It's a group of policies that we are addressing together, largely because the Pregnancy Workers Fairness Act went into effect in 2018 and an amended state law to prohibit employment discrimination on the basis of pregnancy or pregnancy-related conditions. So that language has been added to all of these policies. And the policies have also been aligned in their language regarding non-discrimination. Essentially what we did was make sure that we had included the protected classes in each policy and alphabetized them and made sure that they were all aligned because apparently we had not done that in the past. So, so the language for each of those policies should now read, age, color, disability, economic status, ethnic background, gender identification, economic status. Marital status, national origin, pregnancy-related conditions, race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, and place of residence. And so those are the primary changes. So I don't know, do we need to vote on these individually? Anyone?
I would move to accept them as a group.
Okay, so it would be a second reading and vote on policies AC, non-discrimination, GBA, equal employment opportunity, GCF, professional staff hiring, JFBB, school choice.
I'll second that motion.
There's been a motion made and seconded. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay, next up we have policies, and these are also, I think we should probably take these separately, but policies JFABE and JFABF are both new policies. Under the Every Student Succeeds Act, federal law requires school districts to make accommodations for both children of active duty military families and for children placed in foster care. The Federal Department of Education and the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education have issued guidance in these areas. The MASC and outlined policy for each area based upon published guidance. And so these policies were developed and then passed by both Kelly Knight and Jennifer Toller and also Controller Guardian. And they had no problems with the final product that the subcommittee would have found. So I would move to approve policy JFABE, educational opportunities for military children.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And next we have policy JFABF, which was educational opportunities for children in foster care. Motion to approve this new policy.
Okay, it's been motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Just so Lord, that one was also approved by the same people?
Yes.
Both of them? Okay, thank you, great.
And both of them deal with the fact that we have, children who are moving fairly rapidly from district to district and basically how to make sure that they have as little interruption in their education as possible.
Absolutely, great.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And finally, you all heard during public comment a member of our student union, Noah, asking that we consider referring the acceptable use policy to rules and policies subcommittee for review to alter the language in the fifth paragraph, first sentence, with the changes that they have devised and working with Ms. McLaughlin and Dr. Provost. So I would like to make a motion to refer that policy to rules and policies subcommittee.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that brings us up to the business administrator's report, and I believe that maybe Dr. Provost will speak to that.
So you have the monthly expenditure report in your packet. You will notice a few areas of deficits as of June 6th. Those include legal services, which are estimated due to the services including negotiations this year, special education contract service, long-term substitutes, sub-dispatcher, ESP subs, translations, bus mechanics, special ed transportation, and vacation buyback, instructional software, and building maintenance, custodial supply accounts. So we're in the process now of taking care of those debts from other areas where we have overages in the line items. At the last meeting, you provided us with authorization to go ahead and do that. That's the work that we'll be getting to now. We actually haven't done many transfers yet because we've been involved with other things, but the June 30 deadline is looming, and that will focus our attention on getting the funds transferred. Also, in accordance with your policy, you've had 2 warrants signed by your designee, so you can see those are in the packet. Also, there were gifts. There was one gift in the amount less than $1,000, which was a gift from the Bridge Street PTO in the amount of $393.27, which I accepted. And then moving on to the personnel report, you also have personnel changes in your packet. We had one new hire, 2 transfers, and 2 separations. And also, if I could, on Cammie's behalf while I have the floor, she asked me to use this as an opportunity to assist with publicity around the school's food service summer program, which will be opening for the first time this summer. The program will run from July 1st through August 9th, Monday through Friday. All children under the age of 18 will eat for free. There's no paperwork necessary. Meal sites will be operated at the following locations: Florence Heights Apartments, Tuesday and Thursday, 11:30 a.m. till noon. Meadowbrook Apartments, Monday through Friday, lunch noon to 1 and a snack from 3 to 3:30. Ryan Road School, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 11:30 a.m. to noon. The menus will be available on the NPS website, listing locations, dates, and times of operation for the program. And we now have a new logo to be on the lookout for, Northampton Summer Eats, which we're going to try to match up with our Northampton Public Schools logo in the messaging on this as much as possible. So there will be more communications to families on that, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to try to help people learn about our summer feeding program, which we, will be brand new this year.
Great. And now the superintendent's report,
which will be very brief this evening. As we close out the year preparing for the transition to interim leadership at the high school and conducting Lead's final principal search, as well as assisting in the process of negotiations, have been all-consuming activities. We held finalist forums for the candidates at Leeds yesterday, and I spent much of today in communication with those who provided feedback, as well as with the candidates themselves. We want to get this right, so we're taking time to check in with lots of people. I'd also like to thank everyone who came out to Leeds yesterday, as well as offer special thanks for our search committee members, the chair, Sarah Madden, and Josh Dixon, Molly Burnham, Annette Bischoff, Jesse Pompey, Kira Henninger, Tolly Jones, Sarah Lasser-Yao, and Kate Agresto. We are going to try to bring this group together tomorrow to finalize our decision. And I want to just take this time before we come to a decision to talk a little bit about the process. There have been some questions about the pace of the process, especially when compared to Jackson Street. So I want to clarify that in terms of a search, this has been a complete search. When we post an administrative position, we typically post for 14 to 21 days. The way it works is you get a few responses right away, you get a surge kind of in the middle, and then they start to trickle out. So we think that we have seen what the pool of applicants is. when we do Jackson Street next year, it'll be a same 14 to 21 day posting, because that's what provides you with your pool of candidates. The thing that's really different is that at Jackson Street, if we have a successful search, there will be some time for overlap with the outgoing principal. At Leeds, that really isn't a possibility under any kind of scenario, so there's that difference. So the only question that we have remaining for us now is whether to pick one of the two finalists or to try again. We will consider both of those things. One of the things that I've shared with people, and I'll just share publicly, is if it's at all possible to conclude this, I think it would be good to do it, because if we're searching again, then we will be competing with ourselves. We'll be trying to draw two principals from the same pool of candidates, because we'll be looking for Jackson Street and Leeds again at the same time. So having said that, I haven't made up my mind. I am pulling together the team again so that we can have one final discussion. I am very appreciative of all the feedback I've gotten, and I've had an opportunity to follow up on some of the people who've sent personal feedback. But hopefully we will be moving forward with a decision in one of those three options in the very near future. So that's my report.
Thank you. Okay, well, that brings us to future business and meeting dates. We have the Superintendent Evaluation Subcommittee coming up this Monday, June 17th at 5:15 in the Superintendent's office. We have Rules and Policy Subcommittee meeting Wednesday, June 19th, 2019 at 4 p.m. Superintendent's office. We also have the School Committee meeting Monday, July 8th, 2019, 6:45 here in JFK Community Room. And a School Committee meeting August 8th, 2019, 6:45 in the JFK Community Room as well.
Can I interject that as of today, the Superintendent's Evaluation Subcommittee meeting on Monday, June 17th has been postponed, and the new date will be put out there as quickly as possible. To make way for another meeting, negotiating meeting.
All right. Thank you. Lastly, we have an executive session scheduled, and I would ask Mr. Meyer if you would make a request for an executive session.
Yes, I move we move into executive session under Massachusetts General Law, Open Meeting Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Northampton Association of School Employees, whereas an open session would have a detrimental effect and further details would compromise the reason for going into executive session.
And we'll take a roll call on that.
Mayor David Narcoitz?
Yes.
Ms. Molly Burnham? Yes. Ms. Rebecca Dusansky?
Yes.
Ms. Laura Fallon? Yes. Ms. Henderson is here. Mr. Lon Coffin?
Yes.
Mr. Downey Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Howard Moore?
Yes.
Susan Boss? Yes. Mr. Ed Zahowski?
Yes.
Executive session will be back.
Okay, so we'll be adjourning into executive session. I just wanted to let the public know that we will be adjourning right from executive session and will not be coming back into session.